I close my eyes
and begin to pray. And tears of joy stream down my face with arms wide open. With arms wide open.
Welcome
to this place. I'll show you everything with arms wide open.
It's Crosby on Trinity shot. Penguins win it!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
We're a collective.
Welcome to the Penguins Collective Podcast. My name is Louie.
My name is Josh.
And we go live after every single Pittsburgh Penguins game. And sometimes we go live on our Discord. But Josh, that's not right now. That's not what we're doing right here. This is our weekly episode. And whether we have on guests or special events, you'll see these under our YouTube, our Spotify, from different videos than we go live. So, Josh, we usually pick a topic, we talk about it for a little bit, and we just kind of break it down. Today's topic that we want to talk about is what, Josh?
Fire sale. Cue the horn.
I need to do that in editing. Remind me to do that. Fire sale. Everyone's freaking out, which shouldn't be a surprise to all the Penguins fans out there. The Pittsburgh Penguins are not playing well. They're just not. Yeah. All right. Now they have glimpses. They have like great shots of them being a really good hockey team, but a lot of the time they're just not doing well. And it's about consistency. We talk about it all the time on our live episodes, right after our live reaction episodes, but there's just no consistency. They're either playing really good or really bad, or they'll beat a really good team and people go, wow, that's great. And then they also beat a really bad team.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, you talk about it all the time. They just need to be more consistent. And, you know, we mention it all the time. If you're going to be bad, just be bad. If we're going to be good, then let's step up the game here. Let's step up the pace of play. And, you know, like we talk about, keep the foot on the gas. If you have a lead, hold on to the lead or extend the lead. You know, like what I talked about, I think last weekly episode or, you know, the week before, just have that killer mentality of just burying them. If you're up 2 goals, go for 3. Stop playing this, you know, cat and mouse game with the opponent. And that's the thing. Like you just said, like you alluded to it. We kind of ride this like crazy roller coaster where play against a good team and we win. Okay, well now if it's a bad opponent, you know, we're playing bad. And it's like, we got to stop matching the energy of our opponent and just play our game to beat whoever is in front of us. That's the mentality we had that won us the cups. That's the mentality you need to have to win a Stanley Cup. And we need to get back to that way.
Yeah, and when teams don't do that, or maybe there's a fall from grace, these rumors of fire sales start to rise. So, and that is exactly where the Pittsburgh Penguins are currently at. They fell from grace. 16, 17. All the way until 2020? They were constant Stanley Cup contenders. Then it went all downhill. Okay, we're losing a little bit. Okay, at least we're making the playoffs. Well, couple first round exits, 21, 22, and then we missed the playoff in 23. Or no, 22. And then we missed the playoffs in 23. And then here we are again, 22, 23, 23, 24. You know what you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
lots of numbers.
Lots of numbers. 2 years, it's always weird when you talk about it. So, for the past 2 seasons, the Pittsburgh Penguins have not made the playoffs. And we miss it by this much. So, the team is quote-unquote there, but it's not where it needs to be. It's not the expectation that the Pittsburgh Penguins need to have to be successful. And here we are again, looking at a 3% chance to make the playoffs in January, to make the playoffs in April.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins have what it takes. Josh believes we're still going to make the playoffs. I don't. I think we're out. And when people come to that conclusion, which is the Penguins are not going to make it, usually they come with the conclusion paired with, how about we just start selling everybody?
Yeah, get rid of everybody.
How do we get rid of everybody so that way we can build towards the future? But here's the biggest asterisk for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby. If we didn't have Sidney Crosby, a whole rebuild would have already happened. I think a whole rebuild would have happened last year, the year after, the year before. The problem is, and I'm not saying Sidney Crosby is a problem. What I am saying is that because of Sidney Crosby, the inevitable rebuild has been put on delay.
Yeah.
So how can we get back to where we were from 2016 all the way to 2021? How could we get back to that? And the answer is where a lot of people have stumbled to, just like where you get to when the team is not playing well, is fire sale. And they come up with this, oh, we're going to get rid of Malkin, Letang, Carlson, all that, except for Sidney Crosby, so that way we can get the people where we need them to be so we can win the cup. But Josh, is it that easy?
No, and that's my biggest I don't know, gripe with all of this is because, you know, even though I think we agree on what a fire sale is, you know, getting rid of all of your, I guess, tradable players for future assets, prospects,
Correct.
draft picks. I just don't think that's in our cards because you alluded to it. As long as you have Sidney Crosby on this team, you are trying to make a playoff push / well, actually, that's it. You're just trying to make a playoff push. Just get in there and then you see what happens. I was going to say Stanley Cup, but okay, let's, you know, temper those expectations.
Let's lower
Yes.
that bar. Yeah.
So, okay, so you're trying to make a playoff push as long as you have Sidney Crosby.
Correct.
Sorry.
You're good. It's late. It's all right.
But I outside of Marcus Pettersson, because he's an expiring contract, I don't see a smart trade that would garner the type of return that Dubas is looking for. And that return, I think you can use the Gensel trade from last year as the example as to what you're looking for in the return. You know, if they're willing to cough this type of return over a NHL player, very close to being NHL ready prospects and draft picks. So do I think Marcus Pettersson can garner that type return? No, but I think
What would you
package-
expect? What would you expect from realistically from Marcus Pettersson?
I would it's a combination of, it's one of two things. It's just either going to be straight up draft picks or it's going to be mid-tier prospects who may need a year or two with some like mid-round draft picks.
Okay.
Earlier in the season, everyone was talking about first round pick, second round pick, high prospects. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's that type of talent. Now,
Sure.
I could be wrong because I was saying this last year about Gensel too, saying he's just a rental. No one's going to cough over, a haul for a rental that you may or may not get long term. And Carolina would, borderline haul that we got because I mean technically that draft pick didn't turn into a first rounder because they didn't make the Stanley Cup. So we didn't get a first round pick out of it.
No.
We had Michael Bunting, which he's doing great this year. Love the turnaround. And then you look at the prospects, they weren't their top prospects, but they're going to hopefully be good for us. But just like anything in life in terms of prospects and draft picks, they're lottery tickets. They can hit or they can be busts. And you just don't know. And that's why I think it was crucial and super beneficial for Dubas to get Michael Bunting in that trade. So at least we have a, viable return.
NHL ready.
Yeah, immediate return on investment, just right away.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if Marcus Pettersson can get that type of return. He's
even if it's for a 1-for-1.
If it's a 1-for-1, I can see that. But I mean, what type of 1-for-1 are you looking at? You know what I mean? I don't know if you're going to get another top line defenseman. I don't think you're going to get that. Could you get, a bottom pairing defenseman? Sure. Yeah, I do. But I think that's the thing. I don't know if we're going to get a Jake Gensel return. If we do, hats off to Dubas. That's great. But
I don't expect 3 prospects, a draft pick, and
correct. Three prospects, a draft pick, and Michael, an NHL ready player. I don't think you're gonna get that. I think you have to cut that in half.
So I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I think we're gonna get an NHL ready player and a draft pick / prospect. That's it.
Correct. Not all 3.
No.
The player and one of the other. Yeah.
A definite NHL ready guy, whether that's an offensive guy or a defenseman, and then it's going to be either a pick or a prospect. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good scenario. Here's the problem with all that we said. This is something that I brought up multiple times in the live episodes.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
We've waited way too long. And I know what some of you are probably already typing on your keyboard. Hold on. Before you hit enter, take a deep breath. Kyle Dubas had guys who are ready to go. The beginning of this season, Pettersson was really good. Really good. He was.
Yeah.
It was rumored he was going to go, and what a return we're going to get. And if the Penguins don't succeed, then he's the guy to go. He's how many reports did we see on that? But the thing was, he was a really big asset in the beginning of the season. And we weren't doing that great in the beginning of the season. We weren't. And we had this 8-game winning streak, and then everyone said, we're doing fine. We're going to be okay. And I said, this may be a fraud alert situation. And then it turns out it was a fraud alert situation because we continued to be bad. Then we made some trades, right? We made one trade. I mean, we got Eller out.
Well, 2. Yeah.
Eller, and then what?
Tomasino.
And then we got Tomasino. Correct. Not really flashy trades. This was just something to get done.
But good trades.
Good trades, sure. But nothing that would help the team win now.
Tomasino?
I mean, Tomasino has been all right, but I wouldn't say he's helping us get to the playoffs. Anyway, we're now getting into that desperation time. And that is what, if who's played poker? Raise the hands who played poker. Everyone knows when you know you got nothing, it's easier to bet against. It's so easier to be like, well, I know he's got nothing, so guess what? Hey buddy, let's raise the ante a little bit. And then you're like, oh no, exactly what's happening with Dubas. Dubas knows now he has nothing.
No,
He knows
not true.
with Marcus Patterson.
The market is going I don't think the market is going to drive up the price, but I think the market is going to bring it back to where you thought it was. Because in the beginning of the season, the reports were only two suitors, Edmonton and Vancouver. Now there's like 4 or 5.
And I understand there's multiple suitors, but doesn't mean that they're going to be buyers. So I honestly believe that now, instead of getting a for sure NHL ready player and a for sure draft pick slash prospect, that we're going to get something different. Wonder if we just get a 1-for-1. Wonder if we get a couple prospects.
Yeah.
And the problem is with that is that we should have pulled the trigger way before, and we didn't. And now we're holding on to our assets way too long, and now the rest of the NHL is like, well, we know you're desperate. Like, we know you're trying to get into the playoffs, or we know you're trying to make that last minute push, so we're not going to give you our best bet, or we're not going to give you our best guys for Pettersson. We would have probably given that up in the beginning of the year, but now, since we know you're desperate, here's a couple prospect guys. And I know there's more people in it, but Josh, if you know a good deal is coming, wouldn't you go to it? So the fact that there's
we don't know exactly what was being offered.
No, I know, but
what
what I'm saying is when you know you could probably fleece a team, the hounds come out, which I think that's why it welcomes more teams coming to the table. Because
that's debatable.
Because they go, you know what? I bet we could give a couple prospects and we could get Marcus Pettersson. Why? Because he's desperate. Let's go. Let's enter in the chat. Because I guarantee you that's what's probably going through some GM's minds. It's like, hey, I know they're looking for something in return of Pettersson.
So this is how we'll tell. When the trade goes down, because not if, it's when.
He's for sure gone. Yeah.
The return. If it's a big return, then you're wrong. Because then what actually happened was, because there are more suitors, they all fought against each other and brought the price up.
Sure.
It's basic economics. Low supply, high demand. Now, if the return on Pettersson is low, kind of where I think it's going to be, then you're technically right, because now everyone is like, we know he's on an expiring contract. We know that negotiations aren't going anywhere. This is what we have, a bag of chips. And I'm not saying like we're going to get fleeced, but I'm just saying like, we're not going to get what we think we're going to get for him. So if that happens, then yes, you were right. But if we get a haul, maybe not a haul, but if we get more than what everyone was kind of expecting, then it's 100% they were fighting against each other, because I think we're going to see more suitors, because the longer we hold out, the more teams think they are a quote unquote Marcus Pettersson away from themselves making a push. So they're gonna say something like, okay, some bubble team, Montreal Canadiens, who are trying to make a push here, say, hey, if we get Marcus Pettersson, that may be the push. That may be the player that gets us over the edge, who can get us, additional 6 points or something that, boom, we can get in because of him. I don't know. That's just my guess.
And that's fair. I mean, we
on how
don't
to handle
know
that.
what's
Yeah.
going to happen or come from that. That's the problem, is that because of our season, it's not like oh yeah, like if he was playing phenomenal, you know, we would be then, oh man, we're going to get such a great return for him, knowing
Yeah.
that his contract is going to expire. And if he was playing bad, we're going to be like, oh man, we're going to get fleeced in this deal because he's playing bad. The problem is that we just talked about it. The inconsistency of the Pittsburgh Penguins doesn't really give us an indication on how this is going to go. Because there's
Sure.
some times where he's playing great, and then there's sometimes he's playing bad. So we don't know what the return is. Like I said, he could be an all-star and go, that's it, great return. We're getting 3 NHL players from him. We're going to get a first-round draft pick because of this guy. Right? Because if we're trading Malkin, we're going to be like, that, we got a return. We know what our return will be.
Yeah.
But we don't know how, Pettersson is inconsistent. And teams are looking at that. And the question is, are the Penguins playing like this because of players like Letang? Definitely players like Letang. But players like Pettersson? And if so, is that a guy that we want on our team? And that thought automatically devalues the situation. But we don't know. We won't know until the trade deadline, which it sounds like with Dubas shutting down all this fire sale stuff. Sounds like, and this is actually a report that Josh did. This is something that Josh and his little behind the scenes reporting did.
Josh Getzoff, by the way.
Josh Getzoff, sorry.
Yeah.
Josh, nothing's happening until the trade deadline. And that's wild to me. I think we're waiting until March 8th.
Yeah.
March 8th, Josh, is January. And we want to get into the playoffs, but we're waiting until March 8th. So Kyle Dubas has sat down with Josh Getzoff and said, hey, I hear fire sale. I hear lies. That's not happening.
Well, it's because fire sale comes with the connotation of you're giving them away.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's true. And that's why Dubas was selective with his words. He declined a fire sale. Did he deny us being sellers? No.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's why I think
that's true. That's very. That's a good point.
We can see some trades, but it's not going to be trades where it's like we're giving away, Raquel for future considerations. No, we're not doing that. Could I see a desperate move to move Drew O'Connor for future considerations? If we're desperate enough, yeah. But I don't think that's going to happen because fire sale would be getting rid of everyone for whatever you can get. That's a fire sale. But it's not, I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be, we need to move on from these players X, Y, and Z, and what can we get out of them? And I think that's another reason why we're waiting until the trade deadline, because hopefully some of these players turn their games around and then become more, I shouldn't say more valuable, but even just valuable enough to trade for. Because right now, we keep using Drew O'Connor as an example.
You do.
Yeah, I know. And it's just because expiring contract, we don't know if there's any contract negotiations going forward. I don't know. I don't know if he's coming back, but that's why I'm just using that as a hypothetical. If his game turns around, those, future considerations that you'd be getting for him now turn into actual prospects and actual draft picks, as a return. So I don't know. We'll see. I think a lot of it is going to play out. Like you said, we're waiting until March 8th. fine by me. That was my expectations this whole time. So
Yeah, and my expectations were not. I was like, I want answers. I want them now, and
yeah,
and maybe that's good. Maybe that's what the Penguins need. I don't think so, but hey, that's why I'm not a GM. That is why I'm not a general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins,
fair.
or any National Hockey League team. All I know is the Pittsburgh Penguins are not the Pittsburgh Penguins of old, and in order to get back to that, changes are indeed are they need to happen. Regardless, I
Didn't know where you're going.
That's what I was trying to get at. They need to happen, and I hope my cat doesn't hop up. That's what I've been trying to shut down. My cat has been trying to hop up on my desk this entire time, so I'm trying to shut
Some
that
Jessica Day. Shut it down.
down. Shut it down. So my cat tries. There's two entrances on my desk, back here or back over here, and he's trying to sneak up here. So I've been like shutting that down all day. But no, I think the Penguins are in a weird situation. Obviously, Pettersson is definitely being moved, but really quickly, Josh, before we wrap up, rattle off some names that you could see get moved. This is your personal opinion. This is no fact, no rumor mill. What do you think?
I think Pettersson is all but gone.
Right. It's not if, but when, right?
Yep. I mean, if the numbers work out and the return is great, maybe Carlson, just because he's linked out there. I have a gut feeling Raquel is on the block.
Me too.
Just, I hate it. He's our best goal scorer right now.
Agreed.
But because of that, if we are going to sell,
he makes sense.
He makes sense. He makes sense.
He makes sense because he's the biggest. I think he's a better asset than Pettersson.
100%. 100%.
The problem is we could hold on to Raquel.
Yes.
That's the only thing.
He's got years left. So, yeah. And I mean, the way Blake Lizotte and Cody Glass and, Achari, the way they play their games, could a team be interested in them? Absolutely. Would I be surprised if they get traded? No. Same thing with Drew O'Connor. Could I see someone coming in for him? Beauvillier. That's the thing. Like these guys, like I know we knock them because they're not playing up to the level that we thought they were going to play, and that's fair. But at the same time, they may go to another team where they don't have as much pressure. They don't have to be the guy on their line. They can just be what they're supposed to be, just a role guy, just a filler.
Those guys.
Yep, just they know their role. And they do here as well, but at the same time, like because we're not doing well, there's a lot of pressure on them to now put up points, to score, to assist, have a positive plus minus. Like whatever it is, there's a little bit more pressure on it. And at the end of the day, if Dubas is going to want to see these guys from Wilkes-Barre come on up and see what they have before the end of the season, then you got to make room for them. And just trading Marcus Pettersson or Erik Karlsson, who are defensemen, aren't going to make room for the guys that everyone wants to see. Rucker McGroarty, Ponomarov,
Koivunen.
Pullian. What's that?
Koivunen?
Koivunen.
I say
Koivunen.
Koivunen.
Whoever.
Whatever.
All of them.
Sure.
Bemstrom. Pusin. Whoever is down in Wilkes-Barre. If you want to see them up, you got to make room for them. And right now there is none. So that's why I think there may be, a handful of trades made just because maybe to create some roster space. We'll see. And not only is the trade deadline going to be interesting, the offseason is going to be interesting.
Bingo.
Don't know if you saw the report. Salary cap
It's
is
going
going
up.
up. It's going up. Now, the rumors were saying that this was last offseason, saying that this upcoming offseason was going to be approximately 90 million. Now they're saying that the floor could be 92 and the ceiling could be 97.
Woo!
That's huge for the NHL. That's
Not
huge.
only huge for the NHL, thank God for Sidney Crosby for taking only 8.7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way we could get a big name in Pittsburgh to help the Penguins succeed and win. And Sid helped with that.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz
And
the current salary cap is 88 mil. So it's going up by a minimum of 4 million. So that's a player right there. 4 million is a player.
yeah,
Just by the cap moving up regular amount. It's standard amount. We're we're guaranteed another player. And that's huge.
and that's very huge, especially if we move on from big contracts like Tristan Jarry,
Yes.
Eric Carlson.
Eric Carlson. Yep. With retaining very little,
Very little.
in hopes
But-
of retaining very little.
But that would, I don't know, bring in someone like Mitch Marner, Josh. And
That's
I heard-
that's another episode.
hey, you know what? Just a silly rumor I heard on the Facebook groups, Josh. Because you gotta love those Facebook groups that just talk about, and they're talking out of the side of their mouth. You know what I'm saying? They're just. They said, I heard a rumor. This is Facebook, okay? This is not me or the Penguins Collective podcast. They said they heard a rumor, Josh, for Eric Carlson for O'Reilly from Toronto. 1-for-1.
I mean, it's a bad contract that O'Reilly has. So I could see that.
So that's what they said. And I was like, what?
Well,
No.
just before we wrap up here, the other rumor that I saw was regarding Marcus Pettersson, and because now Winnipeg is now a new suitor for Marcus Pettersson, and
Yeah.
who did we make a trade with in the offseason? Winnipeg.
So
We
what do you
gave
think,
up
Josh?
Braden Yeager for Rucker McGroarty,
We're getting Yeager back.
getting Yeager back for Marcus Pettersson.
That would be a 1-for-1, though, I think.
It depends on how they value
Yeah.
Marcus Pettersson. It depends.
Yeah.
It could.
But they're not going to trade away their other young asset for just Marcus Pettersson. Because remember,
Correct.
their whole shtick with Rucker is that they didn't want him in Manitoba or Winnipeg.
Well, he
and-
didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be in Manitoba.
That was rumored. I think they didn't want him to play pro yet. They wanted him to continue developing in
No.
college.
No, because he said well, they said that
Right?
he
I thought-
they said that they were going to put him in Manitoba, that he was not NHL ready yet. And he said, "Fine, I'm going back to Michigan." So
Right.
he didn't
Oh,
so
that's
he didn't
the-
want to go to Manitoba. He was pretty much saying, "No, I'm not going to the AHL." And then he came to Pittsburgh and we're like, "You're going to AHL."
Yeah. He faked him out, though.
Yeah.
He faked him out a little. He said, you cracked the roster spot, which was
Yeah.
the cringiest video I've ever seen in my life. If you haven't seen it, go on Penguin socials.
Yeah.
Maybe they took it down. But just absolutely bringing him up for just the roster spot, 2 games, and they go, all right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Good job,
go to
kid.
Northeast. Yeah, go to Northeast PA for a little bit. Go to NEPA, or as weird people say, NEPA.
NEPA.
It's NEPA. I don't care what you say. Talk to a wall if you think it's NEPA. It's definitely NEPA. But He's in Napa right now, getting ready to come back. But hey, maybe this whole thing is to, like you said, get the younger guys up. I don't know. The Pittsburgh Penguins are in a weird situation, and I really want to hear what you guys have to say. So if you have a take, put that in the comment down below. Let us know your takes. That way we could talk about it live after a Penguins game. Or maybe you have some really good hot takes and you want to discuss it with other Pens fans. Make sure you join us on Discord/The Penguins Collective. The link is in our bio, so make sure you join us. You could follow us on all major social media platforms at Pens Collective. And also remember to go to rogueenergy.com/the Pens Collective. All right, use code TPC10 for 10% off your purchase. And they got a lot of deals going on right now, so make sure you join it. Once again, link is in the bio. But guys, who knows what's going on with Kyle Dubas? Who knows what's going on with the Pittsburgh Penguins? I guess we'll have to find out in March. Josh, do you have any last comments?
No, that is, I got nothing. I gave my worthless 2 cents. Yeah.
Josh, we don't pretend to be analysts. We don't pretend to be the people who know things. We are just two brothers who are big Pittsburgh Penguins fans who just like to talk trash, I guess.
Yeah. Talk
All
shop.
right. Talk shop. We want to learn just as much as anyone else, all right? So we're not here saying, oh, we know more than you. We would love to learn from you, all right? But anyway, guys, that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Josh, hey. Hey, Josh.
Hey.
Hey. As always.
Hey. Let's go Pens.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Trinity shot. Penguins win it!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
We're a collective.